Welcome to the Wildverse podcast, where we introduce you to the wild world of taxidermy. I'm Heather.
And I'm Ashley.
And on this episode, we have a group of taxidermists here with us. We're in Texas, and we kind of all got invited because we are alumni. I'm kind of a straggler, but mostly alumni of Wes Mote's taxidermy classes that he puts on for Whitetails and casting and all that good stuff. So we have this great group of people here, and we thought that we would do a nice roundtable discussion.
Yeah, so everyone here, obviously, we're all accomplished taxidermists in our own way, and we all are here for because we want to get better and grow and learn. We all are striving to be better, and so we just want to talk more about the industry and stuff, and just about what we can do and questions people have, that kind of things. It's cool to have everyone here, literally in a round table. Yeah, talk taxidermy. You barely get this kind of stuff in real life. So
we're gonna see how it goes when everybody's, we'll see what topics we end up talking about. So I guess we should introduce all the people that we got.
Yeah, do we want to start? If you want to just go around, just say your name and where you're from.
I'm Brett Venable, and I'm from Bixby, Oklahoma.
I'm Brett Thorne. I'm from Hollywood, Maryland.
I'm Basil So. I'm from Northern British Columbia.
I'm Mike Brignac. I'm from Houma, Louisiana.
I'm Jared Lawrence. I'm from Texas.
That's Ohio.
No, Mote, Oklahoma.
Ty Gorham, Chandler, Oklahoma.
Wes Mote, Tuttle, Oklahoma.
Ed Bowman, Maryland.
Ryan, I'm married to Heather.
We're all here in hopes of improving taxidermy. I mean, we kind of have a somewhat leader of, Wes organized this whole kind of ordeal. And he was wanting to just escalate the value of taxidermy.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. We're here, it's like what we've said this week is we're here. It's kind of like a taxidermy competition without the competition.
Yeah.
We're all working on stuff. You were teaching us how to do some eye making and had other stuff that Wes was showing and Mike was helping and and then just everyone talking all together and sharing ideas.
Don't forget you mounted a deer for everybody.
Yeah, I mounted a deer too.
Champion.
Yep.
So Wes, what kind of led you into coming up with this idea?
Well, I've taught a lot of classes over the past few years. Since I won second in the world, I went on to win bigger. But I started teaching around then. And I've met a lot of really good people all over the country. And we've got some Facebook groups so we can stay in touch. And you don't get to see these people all the time. I'm lucky enough that I get to judge a lot of shows and I can see quite a few. But this was kind of a way to build relationships amongst my students and where they can get to know other people in those groups besides just social media. We all get online and the taxidermy page, we all cut up. And I think somebody else actually had this idea on the page. And I thought, that sounds like a good idea. So kind of organize this so we could get together from all over the country, a bunch of people who love to hunt, and then secondary or primary, I don't know, love to do taxidermy. We're all kind of oddities on our own. We're in our shop doing our own thing most of the time, and we don't really get to get around people like us as far as the taxidermy very often, but a couple times a year at the few shows we're able to go to. So we kind of had the bright idea that we would put one of these on and just everybody teach a little something. I wasn't the only instructor here. Ashley taught, you taught, and everybody here shared information freely with each other, which is kind of the basis of this. The shows are fun, but when you're competing and you're at the competitive mindset, it's easy to get caught up in trying to do good. And this just kind of breaks down that barrier and gets us back to trying to have fun and remember what all this is about is getting better at the art. I don't know about y'all. I love Whitetail. I've always loved Whitetail. I've always loved art. And to be able to combine the two, competition aside, and just really see what we can do and how we can max ourselves out artistically is just the end goal, not the awards and not the ribbons. Of course, those come. But and I think everybody here kind of agrees with me.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here.
Yeah. What did you guys think of it wasn't a full week. It was 4 or 5 days. Anybody have anything they wanted to add about the week? What they enjoyed?
Yeah, I do. Something like this just doesn't happen. I mean, you look around here, everybody around here's got World North American, national awards, and we shared knowledge amongst each other. This just doesn't happen in this industry. This is a first. And it's been incredible to spend time with each and every one of you.
It's all different ways.
You know, yeah, and I've taken something away from everybody. And besides just what was shared in the classroom, just the conversation, the volume of information that was shared just in conversation was monumental. It's incredible.
Well, and I think these shows and stuff started out a lot more like that as a way to teach and educate and meet people and learn. Vendors to sell products and teach about their products and stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but my perception is that the shows have gotten a little stressful and people have gotten very goal oriented as far as winning. And some of these shows, I mean, you're seeing less and less seminars, less instruction, and things like that. I would like to see more instruction as we compete and start getting towards the top of whatever our goals are. It's pretty easy to forget where we come from. I don't know about y'all, but you remember the first time you was at the show or at your own show, and you felt a little awkward and, you know, alienated. You were brand new and all that. It's easy that as you progress to forget where you come from. That's kind of the thing that I want to preach going forward, is to always be looking for new people. I want this industry to grow. I want the artistry to grow. I want to see new people. I don't ever want anybody to feel left out. So, I mean, that's kind of the basis of this is trying to include everybody and get back to that learning, and we're doing it for the right reasons of the art, the animal, and just having fun and meeting people and having a good time. The show's secondary.
Thank you for including us.
Everyone is very included. But yeah, so like you're saying, competition is like, you know, you go to competition, but it's so stressful. And everybody, you know, even with the people you're friends with, like, oh man, I think your deer might be better than mine, or like, you know, everything's kind of edgy, and you know, naturally you're competing. Everyone's passionate about it. So this was something cool we could do.
Tempers
Eliminated
flare.
that part, yeah.
Tempers
And-
flaring at shows, people get mad. It's like, hey, let's breathe a little bit. Let's try to have a good time.
Okay, all right, so I'm the president of the Louisiana Association. Now, as Wes was saying, the younger people coming in, this year we did an early registration. We had several people that has never attended a show before that reached out, contacted me, spoke with me, went ahead, early registered, and came to our show, and they were just like, oh my God, I'm scared to death. And so we just opened our arms and like, hey, come on in. We're family here. We're gonna embrace you. We're gonna help you. And if there's anything you have questions about, we're all here to help you. This is what it's really all about. The awards, accolades, that comes. But it's really about people, in my opinion. You know, I mean, everybody here, and some of you I didn't know before this, everybody here is my friend. And this is what it should be, but it's about more than just a ribbon or an award. It's about relationships.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we were talking about last night a little bit when we talk about, it's kind of easy for some people to fall into, I don't want to say cliques, but you get your little friend group and then you don't open your eyes to everybody else. And we were all talking, like, you remember, like you said, when you go to a show and you don't know anybody, and now you see these people that maybe you saw on social media and you're like, oh, I like to talk to them, but then they're like in this group of people and they don't branch out and talk to anybody. And it's just a good thing to keep in mind. Like, remember to go talk to other people.
Good point. Like we were talking about cliques and how, like you're saying, it's easy to get friends and be in a friend group, but it's also like, you know, none of us were born into a friend group.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to go find our friends eventually, and we all connected in some way or another. So
Well, and that's the cool thing about these classes. I've taught so many classes. Before my classes, I set up a group messenger page for all the students attending that specific class several months in advance to get to know each other. I kind of force them to post, force them to comment. I can be a little rough with them, trying to get them to talk, but once they start talking, they get comfortable. They come to these classes, or I go to them, and it's relaxed. Everybody's having a good time. And I've seen so many people get relationships and make really good friendships just out of my for my classes. That makes me feel good. I mean, to be able to come in and kind of be that bringing people together thing. That's really why I like to do this stuff. So I want to kind of change some of the direction in taxidermy in regards to that, and help us grow and be friends with everybody everywhere. And you never know the kind of contacts and stuff you make, what it leads to, where it's going to take you. You may be on a hunt in British Columbia.
Yeah.
You may, you may be killing a fallow in Louisiana and having a group of 12 people help you skin it and do a bird first. So I mean, I know it's been a privilege for me to be able to do it. And I just want to share it with as many people as possible. And I am the one right now that does have the world title, so I guess it's my time to shine. But by doing these, I can kind of bring everybody with me, and we can all shine together and have a good time, build relationships.
And I guess I kind of want to bring it back to what you touched on earlier about how the competitions and conventions, like I even call them competitions, but they're actually conventions, you know, like it's so emphasized on the competitions, which rightfully so. But, you know, like we're saying, less and less seminars and, you know, high stress. And so just how can we, you know, in your guys' opinion, how can we encourage, you know, maybe less emphasis on the competition? Of course, it's always got to be a thing to get people there and get people excited about it. But how, you know, what are other things that you guys think? Yeah, any opinions about that? Like,
I can give kind of the new guy's perspective, and Wes kind of stole my thunder on this. Like, I mean, I kind of stay in my shell, but the whole being on the page that you created, I remember when I first joined it, and then Wes made a post, and it's like, if you don't participate in this group, then I'm going to kick you out. And I was like, oh, crap. Like, I'm an observer, you know, I sit in the corner and watch, and I've been accused of that. But no, I've shared this story earlier, like just going to my first show. I remember people that were like, hey, is this, you know, this is your first time here? Yeah, come back. And they gave, I know they could have picked my work completely apart and told me that it looked awful. But instead they said, hey, you know what, this is your first time, you're doing a pretty good job. Come back next year. And they would give me little bits of information. And I think they gave you just enough to kind of give you some things to work on. They could have gave you 1,000, but instead they gave you 3. And so it's something you could really, you know, small bites you could go and chew on and work on and get better. So that's what kind of brought me back. And so I appreciated that about the folks there. But I saw the things too that you're talking about. There's kind of a little bit of fear. You know, you were talking about that, like people show up for these competitions and, you know, they're kind of scared to be there. I was.
It's intimidating.
It is very intimidating. So I think what we can do is really encourage other people to show up and share. You know, I said it earlier, God gave a lot of people in this room a lot of talent, some a tremendous amount of talent. Like, it's a gift. You know, it's not meant to be held onto. Like, we should share that with other people.
Well, that whole sharing thing is something, you know, we have a Canadian here with us, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Basil, if you kind of wanted to just touch on that a bit. Like, I feel like most people don't understand. I feel like growing up here in the U.S., most people I've talked to all want to share stuff. And I didn't know there's still like...
Oh man, we're probably 20 or 30 years behind the ball when it comes to taxidermy and the sharing part. I mean, if you know something, you don't tell anyone anything. It's a real held close to your chest. Yeah, like everything's a secret. No one wants to do anything. We have very few shows. We have I think we have a show in Eastern Canada.
I think it's over in like Toronto.
In Toronto or in Ontario somewhere.
Yeah. Which
for me is like a 3-day drive. I've never been to a show. I seriously plan on it. It's in the works.
Yeah.
This group has pushed me to do that type of thing, which I'm getting up there in age. I didn't think I'd ever do this. And I've been a commercial taxidermist for 30 plus years.
Oh, wow.
And I probably learned more in the last week than I did the last 30 years. It's been really eye-opening and yeah, truly blessed to be here and learn all this stuff.
That's pretty cool for me.
that is really cool.
He's been in it for 30 years and as tight-lipped as they are up there, not sharing. You know, probably not making a lot of taxidermist friends if you're not sharing information. And I got the chance to go to Canada, and that's where I met Basil. And of course, he's been doing this so much longer than me. So I got a lot of respect for him there. And then for him to go, you know what, I think this kid has something to teach and to come learn from me. I mean, I respect that, I appreciate it. But to also hear you talk about making friends and sharing in all this with us, and that opening up a new experience for you as long as you've been doing it, that's pretty cool for me. I appreciate it.
That kind of brings up a cool point. Like, I mean, me and Heather were young, you know, and so we've only been doing this so long. And so you guys have been doing taxidermy for a really long time. And I mean, back when, maybe 20, 30 years ago, I don't know if you guys have any experience with that, but like, how's the environment changed? I mean, I'm looking at you. You
Yeah. He's only in your 40s.
I'm the granddaddy of the group, so I get it. I love y'all. So when I started, 18 years old, there was no Google, there was no YouTube. You know, I was trying to figure some of this stuff out. I'd go to a sportsman show. Taxidermist had a booth set up. You go over there and ask them questions like, "Who are you?" Like, "Man, I'm trying to learn taxidermy." Turn around and walk away from you. You know, and there in Louisiana, I joined our state association, and I went for several years, and I didn't compete. I would just go to the seminars with a notebook and take notes. And after a few years, after I was competing, this one guy, Norman Watts, he came up to me and tapped me. He's a really quiet guy. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you're doing nice work." And I'm like, "Dude, I get second place every year." He's like, "Well, you're making your mistakes prettier." So, yeah. So we set up a little weekend workshop, and I went and spent some time with him, and it was eye-opening. And from there, my work took off, you know, and he was my mentor, you know, at that time. And I don't know why he picked me, but he did, and helped me. And I feel like now, where I'm at, I need to give back. It's my turn to give back. And that's why I'm here. And the parts that I've contributed this week is my part of giving back to others.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Is there anything else about another topic we want to kick off world competitions? Anybody got anything else we want to say? Do we want to talk about changing them and what we can do to change them?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like, maybe what you guys like, some things that you really enjoy about, you know, I guess.
Not competitions, conventions.
Conventions,
Just like
yeah,
you said,
exactly.
competitions.
Conventions, the industry, like stuff you really enjoy, and the stuff that you maybe want to see a change in.
Well, I mean, this right here is what I enjoy about the conventions. I did say some people, you know, it's getting really top with emotions and stuff in the competitions, but there's still a lot of good in the conventions. And hanging out in the lobby at the conventions, meeting new people, sitting back, you know, drinking a beer, just talking to people, the banquet nights, walking around with people. That's literally what this feels like to me. As it's been 5 days of sitting in a taxidermy convention lobby, meeting people and just having a good time. So I love that about the shows. I'm not an anti-show guy, obviously, but that's the thing, because that's the thing I love and that I've gotten the most out of the shows. I want that to just magnify on a massive level. And if for anybody that's new to taxidermy that may be watching this, hearing us talk about how, you know, there's some emotions in taxidermy, there's that in any competition period. But there is a lot of good things at the conventions and stuff. So that's what I like.
No, there is. I mean, I've only been competing 2.5 years, and it's changed my life drastically. I've improved faster than I had planned. And I met you, and you made me a part of your group, and then I met all of you. So conventions,
Change your life.
I mean, I saw you win the second world and your world, and I knew of you, but then you're one of the first big names in the taxidermy industry that came and actually talked to me, like a normal person. And you answered most of my questions, not all of them.
Hopefully I answered that good.
And it took me 2 years to finally get those answers.
That goes back to what Brett said, though. You get little bits of information here and there. I mean, look where you're at now. You're a national champion. You guys said you've been competing for how many years? 2 years or so. And for myself, I'm the same way. And I never thought I'd be able to get better than that. You know?
Sit in a saddle.
It's a revolving door. Well, yeah, it's the only saddle ever. But yeah, I mean, competition room, I wish you could just take the competition out of it and be it more like a camaraderie, get together, about learning and progressing. But here we are. We're in Texas and we've all learned some really great things. Yeah.
Well, you know, to touch back on what Brett said earlier, you got bits and pieces year after year. And, some of the people that are farther along, you look at somebody's piece, and yeah, you can overwhelm them with information, detail after detail. But if they give them pieces to just make their piece better for the next year, then they come back the next year. Now you can give them a little bit more in depth to work on.
Yeah.
If you overwhelm them, what have you really done?
That's kind of what I feel like. I worry about that a little bit. I've been told I do that. I vomit information. And so when people ask me some things, I try to give them a little bit, but I try to gauge where they're at. And is this going to be too much for them? Or am I just going to shake them up, turn around, kick them out the door, and they're just going to be super confused. So I will say this about you is first time I met him, I judged one of his pieces, and he won. And he asked a lot of questions in his critique.
You was in who?
Pat. Yeah, first time I met Pat, I was judging Maryland. Didn't know Pat at all. I didn't know him until the critique. He won, I think he won state champion at that deal. And he asked a lot of questions, and I thought that was cool. Didn't really think a whole lot about it. I know he's in my seminar and all that, but the next year when I come back and, I judged again, and the deer that won it, when I found out it was Pat, I was like, wow. I mean, it blew me away at how big of a jump he made, what he did, and then for him to say, thanks to me. I could tell after I figured out it was him during the critique, like, wow, he listened to a lot. Like, he caught a lot. So sometimes, that's just really cool for me to get. And it's the same way with teaching students, teaching other people. They all become friends, and to watch them go off and succeed and do well. That right there kind of gave me a bond with Pat a little bit. Like, that made me feel good. And that's what's made me feel good about so many of my students. I mean, you won best of the category professional this year. You was in my class just a few months prior in a big group class, or a year or something like that. I could see you had talent, and more than talent, you had drive. You've went and done good. Same with you, same with everybody in this room, Mike. For me, that's cool to watch. Just sit there in the background. I don't know if I'll ever compete for Worlds again. I don't know. I just kind of do whatever I want. I think most everybody knows. We kind of figured that out by now. But it's cool for me to not have to, and just to watch y'all, and to see some of my information go through y'all and have success. That's freaking awesome. So.
I think one of the biggest things is some people don't know how to really take the critique and apply it. And also they do get overwhelmed. And then it's also attitude. How much do you want to improve? Some people just don't have that will.
You be a lot humble.
And then also sometimes the critiques just make people angry. And they don't think their work is wrong. And they don't want to listen. And another thing with all the winning and obsession over winning is more of a social media thing nowadays. I think everyone just wants, look what I did.
They're just in a hurry to get social media and post how well they did the show, and if they don't get it, then they're pissed off. Kind of.
I mean, you see it with whitetail hunters. Oh, my deer scored 132 and 3/8 or whatever. Oh, it's everyone wants glory, and once I can't think of the word at the moment, but help me out.
Gratitude.
Yes, they need that instant gratification, and a lot of people. Competitions, the knowledge is a gratification, and the awards are extra, but many people don't see it that way.
I got a question for y'all. So since we talked about all this and what this class was about and stuff, we're a bunch of people who like to help each other out, and y'all was talking about a group taxidermy Q&A, and maybe y'all had some questions from there. It's not just how I do things. Everybody in this room does things different. Do y'all have anything from there that we could pull up?
Yeah, I remember one. You can look up the other ones.
And just maybe pass around the mic and show people how many different ways there is to skin a cat.
That's what I thought was going to be great with this. Is I mean, these days you know, like how many taxidermists? Like you said, they all do stuff different. I don't know. I'm sure if one person asks the question on a Facebook page, I'm sure there's 50 others, if not more, to know too. So.
Anybody else got anything while we wait for a question?
Piggyback on what we've been talking about as far as competing, and I'm sure y'all probably have new taxidermists listening to y'all and trying to get a feel for things. One thing I can say is don't be scared to go to these shows and compete. Go there, meet people, learn from people, go to as many seminars as you can. I don't know if I owe it to Wes, but I owe it to another world champion, Harold McGuire. I believe he was a world champion in turkeys in 2019. Forgive me if that's the wrong date. But I went and did a one-on-one show with him, and we got on a conversation about other animals we mounted. I said, you know what? I do deer, I said, but I'm not happy with them, and I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. He said, well, you're from Maryland. You got a show in a couple weeks. I said, I don't have a comp piece. It don't matter, just go. So when I got back home, I looked up on the wall in my shop. I said, well, there's a customer piece done. I guess it's coming with me. It was far from competition. So I went in and entered an amateur. I happened to have a fish done too. I had a rockfish. It was a replica. I think it's somebody's duck. So I just went there with that. I was like, I might as well get critiqued on what I generally do for my people. And I was scared because in the county I reside in Southern Maryland, it's very closed mouth. People aren't there to help you. You try to reach out to them, and they don't even want to entertain you. So I was thinking that by going to that Maryland show, that's how I was going to be treated, and it wasn't that way. People, now you got to do things like this, like that. And long story short, Wes was there, and he offered up one of his one-on-one classes for an auction. So I had to bribe the wife a little bit. Come on, this guy was beating me by like $100, and what's another $100? I think it'd be like, I don't know, $2,100, $2,200. I won the auction for his class. That turned into the Maryland class, and that we had at Thad's house. So Thad and I are only 45 minutes away from each other. We can talk to each other. We get along, but all the guys between Thad and I, we don't talk. I might talk to maybe one other guy, but they're still trash talk. They won't come to these shows. Yeah, that's and you want to try and stay away from those people if you're new trying to get into taxidermy. So that's my advice. I've only been doing this for 6 years. I started with ducks in my parents' basement in an 8x8 rec room, and I got to probably my third duck after throwing them in the trash because I wasn't happy with them. I said, "I'll give one more try." And I was like, "Oh, was a little better," and kept getting better, better, and better. And then finally, I found a Whitetail class and kind of helped me. And like I was telling Harold McGuire, I'm not happy with stuff, but the best advice I got from Harold was go to these shows, and that's why I'm here in Texas now. We all. So if I didn't go to that Maryland show, I wouldn't be sitting.
Was that your first show?
2 years ago. Yeah, I entered an amateur and I got most promising amateur.
So that was the year that I was there judging?
I think it was your first year.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. That was my first year there. And that was your first show where you did on my class and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that turned into the Maryland class where Thad reached out to me and I come up there to Maryland and taught a class. And we had a great time at that class. A blast, ate crab, had a good time, met a lot of good people. And
we had Wilson, Georgia there.
It was just, if you wouldn't ever went to that show, I mean, you can't deny you had a pretty kick-ass time this week. So
I don't know if we could have had a better group. Like everybody, I mean, I'm sure you got there's plenty of other people that could join, but we all got along really great.
Right.
Like people just seemed to fall in and fit into place.
We had so much to do. We got pool. We had whatever that sand table thing is.
Shuffleboard.
There we go. Darts.
Yeah. Great game of darts.
Is that a joke?
We all took care of each other, pulled our weight. I mean, this was a blast for me. So that's what going to these shows. I would like more people to go to the shows. I just hope that we can kind of direct the culture a little bit towards this part of all the shows.
That brings up a very interesting topic. Well, that's along the same topic, but you can't be afraid to ask questions at these shows or to other taxidermists, because I did that for years and it only put me further behind because I was too proud and stubborn to try to figure the answers out for myself. And I just put myself in a hole instead of just asking someone who had the answers to questions. So that's one big thing, is you can't be afraid to ask questions, because I'd say 9 out of 10 taxidermists you ask, they'll give you the answer.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I want to meet people. Don't y'all want to meet new people, make new friends and stuff? I'm no different than anybody else. And 6 years ago, I didn't have no world title. You know what I mean? I'm not any different now than I was then. So having a world title or 2 world titles or 10 world titles don't mean we're any different. But for whatever reason, people treat you different. I understand that. Maybe people are nervous to talk to you. But man, I want to meet people. Come up and talk to me. You know what I mean? I want to make friends. Having a world title or nothing doesn't really mean anything to me in that regard, that it makes somebody special. You know what I mean? I think it does mean that I'm probably pretty good at whitetail, but I probably couldn't hunt dust, save my ass. This is a brain surgery. We're not saving babies. I mean, if I'm at a show, I hope y'all's listeners and stuff aren't scared to come talk to me. I want to talk to you. I want to make friends. You never know what opportunities lie. You never know when you meet somebody that you just click, and you never know when you can help somebody out and maybe make a difference in their life, help them feel good about themselves, and maybe they help you feel good about yourself too. So you gotta talk.
It's an open door.
So along the lines of the shows in this class, the knowledge is great. But for me, like I had a different job, and I know other people have, full-time jobs and they do taxidermy on the side. And you mount a piece in your shop, or you do something cool, and you go to those places and talk about it, and nobody cares. They won't hear it. It's not, you see how many people are putting on classes right now, and you think there's 10 million taxidermists, but there's not. You don't run into other taxidermists on the street at work. So to come and talk to people that have like-minded feelings and ideas and passions, that's what I really enjoy about it. Being able to sit around with people that know what you're talking about and say, oh, I mounted this cool deer, I did this trick or that thing, or flipped the ears this way, or whatever it is. And somebody to actually understand what you're talking about is enjoyable for me.
I mean, all of this is cool for me. I mean, I get to bring my son, bring my daughter. I mean, I bring them all. He's getting to live a pretty cool life. I didn't get to do none of this stuff. So
Getting to go to all these places with you is really fun, and I get to meet everybody that's here. And it's just fun to be with everyone.
And so, as I spoke earlier, when I was a younger guy, I think I'm the oldest guy here in the room. I know I am, but anyway, happy birthday to me and Wes. But, so, I didn't compete for 23 years, went off and made a life and a career for myself. And when I retired, my wife's like, I don't sit still, I don't do idle very well. You need to do something with yourself. How about this competition stuff? Well, I stepped in and did a piece, did okay. I met Wes that show. And I saw him on Facebook or whatever. And I walked up to him and introduced myself. He goes, yeah, I know who you are. I see you on Facebook or whatever. And I don't know what happened. But we just, it worked. We clicked. And it got better and better from there. We communicated more often. And he's now become my mentor. And the best comments I've ever heard in my life, it's humbling. He told me, I guess we did a workshop in Louisiana with Wes, and he goes, Mike, you were really successful when you were younger, and you didn't compete, you just started competing again. And for somebody your age to humble yourself and come to me as a younger man and go, hey, look, can you help me out? That was one of the best compliments I've ever received in my life. It told me something about myself, that I put myself in check. You know, was willing, I don't care about his age, my age, but that I was willing to learn from somebody else, you know, and
well,
it's humbling.
That's kind of the same thing in my, I mean, okay, we all have a little ego. We all kind of stick our chest out, you know what I mean? We all try, and that's just having pride in yourself and stuff. For you to, you know, the older guys that I've taught and stuff, and people who've come to me to learn, and I'm always eager to see if I can and know what I can do, but that takes humility. And humility is a huge asset. It's a huge, I mean, humility deserves a lot of respect. So that gains my respect because I know how hard it is to kind of humble yourself sometimes. You know what I mean? To go, man, I need help. It's saying you need help's hard. So that takes humility. And that's what I meant by that. So anybody who does that, you can't help but respect them and kind of want to get to know them. So
I was listening to Mike. I'm thinking it's exactly true. It's those who are humbled will be exalted, and those who are exalted will be humbled. And you know, in this, in my short time of being around this group and being going to a couple of conventions, like I've seen a lot of ego type stuff. And like I didn't go because I got an ego. I went because I enjoy doing this. I'm passionate about it. I hear Wes talk about like whitetails. Like that's the only other person I've ever heard of talk about. Like I just love whitetails. Like my friends think I'm weird because like I live for deer season. They're like, you live for like a couple months of the year, and I'm like, yep. Like that's just true. Yeah, 100%. Like I'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars because I love. That's what I love. That's what I'm passionate about.
taxidermy just buys me those other 10
months. Yeah. Well, I found taxidermy because I had a bad mount, and I looked at it and I thought, I don't even know how to do this, and I can do better than that. But then it dawned on me like, I can do this all the other 9-10 months of the year that I can't hunt. I can play with deer. I can do all this stuff with deer. Like, absolutely loved it. But I agree with what Mike said. Like, you know, you have to be humble in everything that you do. And, you know, people see that, and that's how we're all going to learn. You know, if we're not humble and we think that we're better than everybody else, like that's just, it's just a bad character trait in the first place. But it definitely isn't going to further the industry or get anybody else, you know, interested in being involved in this.
Well, that's how it was last year. I won a few things and then went to nationals and got beat good. It's like, oh, all right, there's definitely a lot more I need to learn before I can really do this. And like I said, I started asking more questions and I figured out the answers. And I won another level, and now I need to ask more questions to get to the next level. And that's all it is.
Well, as soon as you stop asking questions because you think you're there, you're done. You're done. As soon as you stop being humble and realizing, hey, and there's stuff to learn from everybody. There's beginners who figure out new tricks. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. These seminars and stuff can be huge. They don't have to be a national champion or world champion or North American champion and stuff to learn from. I've learned some pretty cool tricks from people that didn't know that their tricks were pretty cool tricks until I was like, wow, hey, I hadn't thought about that. So trying to be humble. If it's be humble or get humble. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely. You can't learn something you think you know the answer to. Right?
You don't know it's wrong until you know it's wrong.
You don't know something until you know something.
You don't know what you don't know.
Well, what's the other one? If you thought you knew it, you don't, and then you might want to learn about it.
Okay. Life's like a box of chocolates.
Be an open door.
That like Frozen.
Oh yeah. I'm on a saddle. You got to be an open door and be able to learn and be willing to learn, to do better, to strive to be better, to whether it be a commercial mount or a competition. Outside the competition room, be friendly, be social. That's where you learn the little knacks, the little tricks, the little tips, whatever you want to call it. But it's the stuff that someone could be walking up. I can learn something from Brett, and Brett's only been doing it a few years. I've been doing it only a few years. I've been looking at people like Wes, Ashley, Pat, and I just met Pat at Nationals. I mean, sitting in the lobby having a beer, And I think we've kicked it off more than anybody in this entire room has got. But we're all friends. Don't be an enemy. Don't be in a bad spot where you don't want to learn. And like Wes said, when you want to stop learning or think you have it all and don't want to share information, that's just shut the door and go back to your commercial life and don't do it.
That's the thing, a lot of the stuff we teach each other, most of us are in this to make money. As a business, competition is just extra fun. And all these tricks compound into the commercial taxidermy aspect to make you more efficient, make you more money, make you quicker. All the little tidbits help one way or another.
Well, and I will say this, that it's because all these guys' humility that they're here anyway. You got to admit that, hey, I got something to learn. I want to show up. And for this class that I put on, I wanted to give my best. I have held a few secrets. I don't think that's wrong. It's like one or two. I have a lot of other areas to help people, and I wanted to give my best secrets away to these people in this room of my past students before I start teaching it to the public. And but that's why, is because I wanted to, you guys have all supported me by showing my class previously. I appreciate it. So, I gave y'all the last little drop I got this week because of that. So
what's in the clay?
Well, okay, almost.
I looked at Pat and shook my head. No, there's more. There's more. We got to crack this code. But there's a.
Well, I'll give y'all really good stuff.
You know what I mean? I'm done.
Yeah.
That is great stuff. Pass along to.
Shipping, just let me know.
Yeah.
Just tell me what's in it.
I mean, we've all known people that they think they know everything, right? And so that is like what I was just saying. It's so hard just to even know these things sometimes for some people. I don't think any of us have that issue, but you gotta admit that somebody knows more than you do. So then you have to put your money where your mouth is, and all that can be really hard.
Well, I feel like even while I was teaching, you guys were like helping me troubleshoot stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to mold this in. I don't know. What do y'all think? You know what I mean? And we're like, well, let's do this, let's do that. And then I'm just showing you some of my little tricks along the way. I don't have problems asking y'all questions. Like, hey, help me out a little bit. Y'all watch me struggle.
The best way to learn is to teach.
Right. And y'all, that is true. I do feel like that. And I have grown tremendously, I feel like, because I have taught, and it keeps things fresh for me. But on that line, I mean, y'all taught me a lot. We all improvise really well together. We had some hiccups. Sometimes on these classes, you have things you forget to bring, and we all figured it out. Really. Nothing was a big issue.
So you did show us some information that's going to change the taxidermy industry. And when people see it, they're going to be like, wow, that's amazing.
I wanted you guys to have it first, because y'all have all been there.
Just got to know how to lay it, that's all.
Speaking of how to do things, I guess we can kind of get into our questions and everybody gets to give their 2 cents on people's taxidermy questions of how to do stuff.
Yeah, let's try a question. Let's do one of these here. And this is a fun one. It's more generic and not so serious. And, so this person on Taxidermy Q&A said, "Hi everyone, I'm hoping soon I'll get to build a larger shop. What are some tips, needs, work areas, storage, showrooms, etc. that y'all have in your shop, or anything that you wish you had that would help make life easier?"
Yeah.
That's the shop. That's important.
Lighting. I worked out of my garage, and man, it was like doing taxidermy in the blind. And I was only really working at nights because I worked all day long as a part-time taxidermist. Man, lighting is so important. When I built my shop and had all them lights put in, that was it. Daddy had something.
Put them on the walls and the ceiling, put them everywhere.
Something that changed. I started in about a 400 square foot room. And when I built the new shop, I put a walk-in cooler in, and that was a game changer. Even something as easy as a CoolBot and a window shaker, not having to turn 15 heads that get dropped off today. I can throw them in there and get to them when I get to them. Skin out. That was a big one.
Did you say that was a walk-in cooler or freezer?
Cooler.
Okay,
Yeah.
so not a
Yeah,
freezer.
not a
Still
freezer.
just
Just to keep them cold, so you can get them skinned out. Yeah.
that would be nice.
I'm not a taxidermist, but something I saw that helped my dad was like natural light. That seemed to help a lot.
Natural light, thinking about which way your windows face. Westward evening light is really harsh. East morning light is very soft. So when you plan your shot, think about the direction some of those windows are going to be facing. I think that helps a lot.
I don't like ceiling height. If you do have to go out, get moose and all that kind of stuff, you definitely want a little bit higher ceilings.
Yeah, or like Jared said, like a giraffe. That would be handy.
I would also recommend like a good AC unit.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that is a good one.
Yeah, you would walk in and your shirts would be drenched. You'd have to throw them in the trash.
I didn't throw them in the trash.
They were that bad.
Probably in northern British Columbia.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
For you, would it be good heating?
The heating.
How do you heat your shop up there?
I actually have a wood-fired boiler right now. It's forced air that heats the whole thing.
Okay.
And that doesn't put out too much heat?
It's on a thermostat.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Just to give an idea on how cold it is up there. Basil asked on the group what kind of shoes we all wear this far south. He's gonna bring his wool socks.
My answer, I mean, I think a sink would be a really good thing to have because, like, you might think, oh, like I might be able to just wash them in a bucket or whatever, but like, I know sinks are really good to have in the shop.
A double basin.
There you go.
You can have the soapy water in one and then clean water in the other.
I'll add to that, if you're building a shop, think about a floor drain. It is so nice to have a floor drain, and I can hang deer to thaw from freezing right over the floor drain. I can wash it right down the drain. It's the neighbors.
And a roll-up door. Some awesome 10-foot grizzly with a normal walkout door, and I'll be able to get it out.
You're gonna have to take your door off.
Yep. I take it you did that?
I built a full-size whitetail with a bigger base before I knew that you could make detachable attachment points. So it was bolted down to the base, and then I had to take jams off the door to get it out. Yes.
I got a couple things. So one with Wes, like lighting. I'm old, so lighting. I need more lighting. The older I get, more lighting. But a couple of things that I've done more recently is like thinking about where, like you're going to be hanging stuff up. You're going to hang up deer. Like you're going to either put holes all over your walls or whatever as you hang things, whether it's mannequins or it's finished mounts. And then most recently, I hung up, like I did like a, what do you call it? If you put it in a house, an accent wall. My wife said those are supposed to go inside the house, not the garage, but an accent wall of some kind that, I mean, like you can display things on and you can put holes in. It's pretty handy.
Don't do drywall.
Don't do drywall. That's
Don't do
correct.
drywall. Yeah, if you want to get cheap, you go to LSP or plywood. Or a nice tongue groove.
Yeah.
But yes,
Whether
don't
it's
do
wood,
drywall
board, something.
because you just destroy the drywall.
Yeah. Anything wood can hide the nail holes.
You could like use a panel and just paint it white. It makes the room a lot brighter.
Because not only are you trying to make your showpieces look good, you want the room to look bright as you're working in, so that your pieces look good. But another tip I know, because I messed up myself, I thought I had a big enough shop. If you think 40 by 40 is big enough, it's not. Just go bigger, and you'll be happier. And a lot of times now with these pole barns, they're HVAC with these split units. One thing I can say is make sure you have a split unit that has the dehumidifier set. That's a big help. So it helps my shop out a lot. I had stuff just randomly rusting in my shop. Couldn't figure out why. I got the new split unit with the dehumidifier setting. Stuff stopped.
Especially where you're at too.
Humid ass Maryland.
Yeah, maybe in a different part of the country you might not have to worry so much, but obviously that's a huge thing. I wouldn't think about that because I'm not from a super humid area.
And ventilation too. We're all painting. Yeah, painting constantly.
And definitely something for the lacquer paint. Yeah, use kind of shoe lacquer.
And put a box fan or something in the window or whatever you have to make a frame out of to do that, to have a paint room.
I'm scared to wear a respirator.
I have ventilation. I still wear respirator.
So you can ghetto rig some ventilation.
Yeah. Open the
It
door.
has to be that pretty.
Just open the door, turn the fan on. That's a floor. That's a floor fan. It blows right out.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say paint room. You know, I work in a little area. I don't take in crazy amount of stuff. I don't have a roll or nothing. If I do an elk, it's detachable antlers. But it's big enough spot for me where I do it. But I do have a paint room. A paint room is a little, I don't know, 10 by 10 little room over on the side with the horizontal sliding window with a box fan in it. And it's enough that I can get in there and not have to suffocate when I walk out the door. I can shut it behind me and totally fit the room.
How high are you painting?
Well, it's just enough. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff you can do. It's not just lacquer.
Yeah.
There's some stuff you can get out of your automotive stores that don't have the smell. So
especially if you do fish, you spray fungicidal sealer or
clear
coat.
Right.
That'll fog up the room.
Some things you can't smell, like Cavasil and
even Bondo,
fume silica and stuff. It's dangerous.
Yeah, Bondo. Like Brett said, it's a lot of fumes, a lot of stuff that is very toxic. But if you can just shut a door and walk out afterward and take it off and let it fume out for a little bit.
They anger your wife if you use all the smelly stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's also yourself too. You don't want to get a headache or nothing like that. So.
I would also recommend getting enough chairs and having enough counter space because you're not going to be wanting to have to stand up for 5 hours back there.
I got a couch so I can lay down.
Yeah,
that's mainly what I do.
You have a fold-out couch. That's a nap time spot.
Speaking of air, I know one thing I'd like to add is where I work, at every workbench you have an air hose with a air truck on it. So nice if you're drilling something, you got dust on you, you just prep hides, you can just blow it off. You need to put in, use stapler. Yeah, it's super handy.
Like a hose reel, or is it?
So you have your main air compressor, and you just run your air lines to every workstation, and then you just got a quick patch.
And little curly hoses. And then do you have the air compressor in like the closet? Yes, definitely.
Yeah, put your air compressor in a closet. We dealt with that this week. It was like 15 feet from us, blaring out.
Yeah. Scary every time it turns on.
So the most handy tool I have in my garage is an overhead hose reel. It used to be like down by the floor, dragging the hose around, all that, but when you can just reach up, grab hold of it, pull it down, use it, let it back up. Super.
I think that's the air compressor.
Air compressor's in the corner,
Yeah.
piped up overhead, hose reel up on the ceiling. You just reach up, literally grab it, and pull it down when you need it, and then let it go back up.
I have a dental light that hangs from the ceiling that's adjustable to put it right where you want it so that you've got constant light through the eyes, the nose, so that you can adjust the light to where you want it, move it around the animal, and it stays back against the ceiling so it stays out of the way.
Where did you get it from?
Amazon, eBay. They vary from $300 to $2,500. Just depends on the size you want, but they work really well.
But at the end of the day, whoever asks this question, you absolutely don't need all of that.
You don't need it.
You just need an empty. Yeah, right. You just need a place to do something. It can be halfway dark. I did it. So just get started. I don't know if they're brand new or what.
Yeah. Our things are just kind of like, it's kind of like when we did our list of tools that you need that we put out pretty much when we started this podcast. Like, we had a list of like what you need, what you want, and like your wish list. And some of these things definitely, like a walk-in cooler is like a wish list item.
Electrical outlets, whatever you think you need, triple it.
That's true. I don't have one.
Up high, down low, on the floor, whatever, everywhere.
So another question that somebody had posted on Taxidermy Q&A, which is a very practical question that pretty much everybody deals with. Does anybody here have tips and tricks for getting cartilage out of ears?
A thumbnail again, or some type of a pick on your finger. I use, less like this one, a guitar pick.
Oh,
That's what I was going to say. A guitar pick is, you put it in your fingers, you don't have to have a long fingernail or an edge or whatever it is, or have to use a scalpel or a sharp corner. You'll tear that cartilage or the ear skin itself. The guitar pick will really get it off easily. To start it at least.
If you're struggling with the cartilage, sometimes it'll get wetter. A little bit of moisture on it will help. That's release the adhesion.
That's what I was going to say. 9 times out of 10 people are struggling. on that. Their ears are too dried out. They're trying to pull them while they're too dry. Little warm Dawn water, soak them in a cup. That's what I'll do sometimes. It'll be so dry or freeze or burn or whatever. And you just don't, I don't have a problem with them once I moisturize them. That's usually the problem that people are having.
For cartilage, I was pulling cartilage this week, and I was doing it, and I grabbed the cartilage to start pulling it. I grabbed my shirt, and I held it with my shirt, which you could use a paper towel or something too. And I forget who it was. One of you was like, "How are you doing that?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just always do it." And like, I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed my shirt and grabbed the cartilage and pulled.
I do a little bit of lap repair, get my hands around hot oily fill, and then a paper towel, and just get a guitar pick if I need some more areas.
Guitar pick's not sharp.
Ryan's got a guitar pick. And you just gotta be able to pull it slow, and pull it high, so you gotta take your time. It's nothing to rush for sure.
Another question that we wanted to answer was cape stretchers. Yay or nay? Are they necessary? What do you guys think?
I think if you have a good stand, you don't need a cape stretcher. You can pop it open with your arms, your forearms, stick your arms in there, do a couple here and there on each end, roll it around. But measure, use your measurements. You don't need a cape stretcher. And a good tan will go a long, long way.
So, I mean, I agree with that, but I also have a cape stretcher. I'll pop it loose. I don't mount anything tight unless I'm being lazy. It will slide on, but the more slack, I mean, if I can get my whole arm up under that and it work, then I can just shift everything I can. So I'll get it nice and relaxed, measure my capes right. I'll throw it on the cape stretcher while I prep the form. And I'll just kind of have it taut. So it's keeping it kind of tight. When I pull it off that, it just slides right on. And so it's more of an aid than using a cape stretcher to stretch a cape more than what it was. It's just an aid for me. While I'm prepping a form, I'll throw it on the cape stretcher and bag its face and just let it sit there, and I don't got to worry about it. And I don't got to pop it in, slide it on the form, and everything moves so easy with the stout rougher. So
It's like you're saying, it's not a necessity, but it's handy to have. Like, it's not like you have to have a cape stretcher.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve for me. Everybody needs to blow them up, and customer want to blow them up big as they can. To me, it's slack. Just like I said, it's like I don't want that thing to fit tight. That's going to lead to other issues. And also, think about when you cape a deer off the head. You take the head out of the skin, slip that head back in, and see how loosely everything fits and it goes back together. There's nothing tight. So that's a big deal for me. It's not, I need room, I need slack, and everything's going to go where it needs to go. It's going to get away from drumming issues and parts not fitting where they should. So
that's one of the bigger things in my classes that I teach. And by teaching bone structure and stuff, I think that's where I kind of freak some people out every now and then. A lot of the times, I make deer smaller to look bigger. It's an illusion. When you get those eyes in and you get the bone structure right, once people learn this stuff, they get a bigger, more masculine looking deer, and they're not trying to buy a form that's two sizes too big.
All that being said, I do actually have the infrastructure.
He's coming clean. I'll come clean.
Turntables.
I don't use it too often. I've gotten really good tans. I've been blessed to have a great tannery. I know that's a tough one to say sometimes, but you just pop it, take your measurements, and you do have like Wes saying, put your arm in there or something. Have some room to move skin. And that's what we do is tax the skin in place. But let's do it right.
Cape stretchers, I don't know, for me, like when I was using one, it is handy because maybe I'm not as strong as like some of you guys here, and just getting like a little bit of stretch that I couldn't just naturally get on my own is handy. But I don't use one typically. So I don't think it's necessary, but it is like what Wes was saying. Like people are saying it's nice to have it there just as an aid.
Well, see, I could understand that because capes will stretch long ways, they will stretch width-wise, and depending on how they're tan, how they're salted, there's so many variables that go into it. Your tannery, you could be kind of getting some of these long neck deer back from a tannery, and somebody that's a little more petite isn't going to be able to manhandle that as well. So I mean, I'm not an anti-cape stretcher, but there is definitely an anti-cape stretcher crowd out there. You absolutely don't need that. You should never need that. But
like Mike was saying, it's when people say, "Oh, you got to blow them up, like stretch it, and then get 29." Maybe that was something that wasn't meant to be. So that's the extreme of it.
Well, if you overstretch him, he's just going to balloon up. He's going to lose all the detail when he dries. He's going to look like he's an inner tube with antlers. So you can do all that you want, but eventually you're just going to have to give up. Kind of learn what you might be doing wrong, and it'll make a big difference. I know that was me. I'm speaking from my own experience there.
And sometimes you can't really get the best tans.
That's true. I mean, it can be more acidic. There's a lot of things that can go into a tan, not be neutralized properly. Sometimes from a tanner, they'll send them back a little bit more acidic. Somebody who don't know very much about tanning, because they're always using a tanner, may not know that they're acidic. And when a cape's acidic, it doesn't have as much stretch. So there's a lot of variables, but there's a time and place for everything. For me, I use a cape stretcher.
I know I used to stretch the heck out of my use. I had that one bottle jack, like rebar, and I'm ready to get on it. But I don't use it anymore. I just pretty, stick your hands in there. But there's definitely keys in there. The cape stretcher, because it's like thick. But yeah, I agree with what everybody said. You don't want to make it fit something that's not supposed to fit it.
Well, we've all had those customers that swear that their deer was 3 times bigger than what we give it back to them, and generally they're an inch bigger. I mean, I don't know about these guys, but I usually try to buy a mannequin an inch smaller than what my cape measures so that I've got the slack.
Was you doing that before my class?
Yes.
Did my class kind of help with that?
It helped with head sizing.
And that head sizing making the whole thing
the whole
look
thing
bigger.
fits better. I mean, I got a decent sized shop. We do 300 pieces a year, and being able to move them out is the big key.
I'm curious if you still get any of those, ever that swear that their deer was bigger than that. Or
Not so much anymore. You've always got those certain people that are going to swear up and down just because they want, they want a discount or whatever. But for the most part, I mean, everybody that comes in is just tickled with the way the anatomy of the deer look after. I mean, I've taken the Wes's class twice. I took it in Louisiana with Mike, and then I took it with Brett at Wes's shop, and learned a massive amount both times. Just a phenomenal teacher. I mean, it's not hard to listen to him and understand what he's saying, and that's made a big difference in my shop.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that was another question we had. We had talked about all that stuff here and there. Is there anything that you guys that you want to touch on, want to talk about briefly?
I'd just like to say, thank you to Wes for bringing us together, making us friends, helping us better ourselves, better the industry. Just overall, kind of puts the fire back under you to want to do taxidermy. It's not hard to burn out, especially when you're doing multiple animals every year. And I don't have time to do competition like a lot of these guys do because I am a full-time taxidermy shop. However, coming to these classes, watching the techniques, all you can do is be excited to get back in the shop and find the specimens to try and try to recreate what you were taught today. Just this week watching Mike, watching Ashley mount a deer, and these other guys just, talking to them and learning what they know has just been a mind-blowing experience. And, I'd never seen anybody make eyes before, so watching Heather do that was very cool. So wait to see where this group goes, and in the years to come, if these little get-togethers continue, what is the future for this? I mean, it's exciting to see where these things can go.
Start up a whole taxidermy convention with no competition. I mean, you just never know. I want to thank you guys for coming and doing this here, and all you guys for coming and doing this with me and all that. I want to encourage all the new people getting into taxidermy, all those people on Q&A, all those people on that are just kind of sitting in the background, scared to put one foot in front of the other, to get out there and look for the camaraderie. Don't look for the awards and ribbons. If you get the camaraderie and you meet the people, you're going to find mentors, you're going to find friends. The awards and the ribbons and the accolades and everything else will just fall in place. Just give it its time. Focus on the people and focus on the camaraderie, just like this. The camaraderie is the reason you want to go home and work in the shop and why you want to grow and get better. The support from everybody here, what y'all learned here working together. I'm sure if y'all are like me, y'all want to get home, you're excited to play with something. It's the camaraderie. It's not me that's doing this. It's giving y'all the motivation. I'm just the one trying to make sure everyone, stays speaking up so we can all motivate each other. So it's the camaraderie that does it. That's the reason to go to shows. Don't discount the shows for some of the stuff you read on Facebook. This guy's mad or that person's mad or whatever. And in NASCAR, I think they try to kill each other. So it's not that big a deal. These shows are important. Friends.
Second that.
Third that.
It's more like family than friends.
Right.
Let me give him a mic.
Ryan, you have the floor. Sure.
What did God do in our house?
I don't know.
No, I think
That's the whole week.
She's gonna be mad at me later for handing it to Mike.
I love that.
I'm going back to Canada.
That's
I gotta
good.
give it to Heather for bringing Ryan. He's been a heck of a time.
Right.
And whether you put a hand in or not, but he was definitely welcome. We were all excited to meet y'all. And
this is
like Wes said, these classes are
either a long shot from I guess you could say a short arrow because you get people. There's a lot of talent in this room. There's a lot of hidden talent, and it's just cool to be in a room full of people like that.
It was pretty cool to watch Ryan shoot a pig earlier. That was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
You get the experience to do. I was pretty stressed about it because it took him 20 minutes to shoot the target. But he got on that pig a lot quicker. And that was...
But you got it.
But to watch that, I mean, for me, like I'll always remember that. It was pretty cool to be there for that. I think I was holding the rest.
I don't know. That's the fun stuff that I want to be able to remember, and that's
Well,
where
it's kind of like going to a class and watching the teacher go out and kill a nice fallow deer, and the rest of you guys sit around going, "Where'd Wes go?"
Yeah, thank you guys for participating in this. Obviously, thank you for being here. It's been a great time.
I would just like to thank my dad for picking me up.
Oh,
even though I didn't spend like $50,000 on some animal out there. We're gonna need a lot more students.
Tasting animals.
But you still get that Christmas present, birthday gift, and all that. He told you that if you was to buy you an animal, that would be one of those.
It would have been worth it though.
We're going fly fishing next week. We'll be all right.
Yeah, get to go fly fishing in Colorado.
Well, that wraps up this episode. We want to thank all of you guys for participating in this roundtable taxidermy talk type of episode. I hope our listeners got a lot of good info. Maybe encourage you to step out of your comfort zone, go do something different and meet some new people. So we want to thank you for listening to our podcast, Wildverse, and let us know how you like the episode and any questions that you might have that you would like us to answer on future episodes. You can comment on our Facebook or our Instagram at Wildverse Taxidermy Podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Wildverse Podcast, to watch this episode and see the videos come up.
We would also love it so much if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the podcast. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye.